All right. All right. Listen, I know we're really, very, really late today. But that's just how it is sometimes. We're here now. We're here now. I had some friends over. It's the last time I'm gonna see them for a while. Spent some extra time. Took some extra time to hang. Now we're drawing this. Oh man, I should put color on it. I wonder, maybe if it's just like really clean, it actually gets to go on an Instagram post, even though it's like even though it's just lines. I think we'll do that. I think that'll be my cope, because I just really don't want to spend time coloring this. I'd much rather be drawing something new. Okay. So we're actually gonna leave this one here. This is this one. And then we're gonna go back to Hands and Faces 1, this document right here, and we're just gonna do some classic head drawings. Where's all the... Here we go. This is heads 1. It has all the way from 1 to 15. This is heads 2. It has all the way from, well, I guess this is heads 2. It has all the way from 16 to 20. And so the plan for today is just find some photo reference, draw some faces. That's all it is. I had, and I'll try and see if I can find it, because there was at one point where I collected a bunch of faces from like tough angles that I wanted to study. Just give me a second. I think I might be able to find them. Oh, I don't know if I have it. I have this. It's not this. I have this. Alright, don't mind me just opening 46 tabs. No, I don't think this was what I was looking for, unfortunately. I had like a bunch of upshots at some female faces that I wanted to draw because I'm still bad at upshots after all this time. But I guess we're gonna have to try and find them ourselves in the wild in Pinterest. On Pinterest. Low angles, upshots. Maybe throw in some profiles, that's fine. I don't draw a lot of profiles either. It's so hard to draw like an appealing low angle on a face. And for some reason, at the same time, it's the one angle I want to draw the most. Well, it's because, you know, like, I don't know, upshots are like nice dynamic composition. It's a nice dynamic angle for the rest of the figure. And then the face is just really tricky to draw well when it's an upshot. All right, here are some to get us going. Just getting the reference doc ready, give me a moment. That's another angle that I'd like to be a lot better at, is like rear side profiles. Gathering some of those as well. All right. There is, oh, come on. I see. Cool. I have off to the side like a decent collection of faces to practice from. And this is going to be all of today's stream is going to be dumping them in this document like this and then drawing right next to our reference, drawing a face. I just had a long discussion about the ethical implications of being a streamer. A good discussion. To me, it's a lot of this thing of like, oh, I'm creating content. We live in a world where content is often associated with like an overuse of digital screens and content. And I have at several points in my life felt quite addicted to entertainment and digital content as well. So like I have some moral scruples with being a content creator. How much of a content creator do I want to be? How sensationalist, how stimulating do I want the content that I create to be? Stuff like that. Yo, what's up? What's up? Am I doing? I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty good. What do you think, Draco? Is narrative a net positive to society and the world? If yes, what? If yes, is internet content creation a net positive to society and the world, or is it a net negative? Positive. Internet content creation is a net positive to society and the world. Okay. I'm undecided. Because it makes data available to everyone. Okay, so no gatekeeping information. It's like the opposite of burning books. Whenever. I can see that. Now we go one step further, and then we realize why he's even asking these questions. What do I think? I think narrative, definitely. We started with narrative. I think narrative, definitely. I'm coming to this conclusion. Is a net positive. Because how do you build anything without it? Internet content creation. That one's tricky for me. Because internet content and so narrative, that goes on to like media and art in general. Okay, now why am I on all of this? Yeah. Because the next question I think will give you a peek behind the curtain. Is Twitch streaming a net positive or a net negative to the world as a whole? I just had a long conversation about this. You're joining in the middle of it. You're saying positive? I'm still figuring this one out. Because you can ask pros. So you're saying again is like making information available to the public in real time. Yeah. And that's like a nice positive view of Twitch as a platform. And I do think this happens on Twitch as a platform. I don't know that that's like the main thing that goes on Twitch as a platform. I think the main like traffic on Twitch is like a little bit more like empty entertainment. This is all here for entertainment. Yeah, it's all here for entertainment. Now, entertainment as well. I tend to have like a very pessimistic view of entertainment because I have had feelings of being like addicted to entertainment previously in my life. And so like the reason of entertainment outweighs a lot of the data availability. Yeah. And so because I had this feeling with entertainment that I felt addicted to it, I've been very pessimistic about it. But of course the existential discomfort that lights this conversation is that I'm in the business of making entertainment. Recently as a Twitch streamer, but also in general, yes. As an artist, I make entertainment. And I just had a conversation with a good friend of mine, who's also an artist. Entertain you. Are you not entertained? And his his take was that he said he thinks narrative is a net positive, but then there's elements to it that are negative, right? And that can be the attention grabby way with which you communicate your narrative. That can be one negative element to narrative. And then you could see entertainment as like a way to communicate narrative. And then there would be pieces of entertainment that are worse for you and pieces of entertainment that are better for you, right? Two things you think of is misinformation to evil control. I mean, that's one thing. I just also think like one of my personal pet peeves is short form content, which I now produce, because I think short form content is like the most addictive, some of the most addictive stuff out there on the internet. When there's all the energy and resources we use to keep all of this, a lot of it isn't worth keeping. Yeah, exactly. So I have this pet peeve of short form content, right? I dislike it because that one thing that I dislike, one of the things I dislike the most about entertainment is its ability to be addictive. And the one thing that short form content does more than any other form of entertainment is be addictive. Yet here I am doing it, producing it to grow my Instagram following. Anyway, my friend, his larger point was that, well, entertainment can be worth it if the narrative that you're conveying is worth it. It can be worth the downsides of addictive entertainment. It can be worth the downsides of pollution or the resources that you're expending if you're conveying a narrative that can improve people's lives. Do I have a choice? Dude, I could start writing books. I could become a writer. I think I have hella choice. Or I could start just like illustrating books instead of video games. I could limit myself to illustrating comics that have an educational purpose. I could limit myself to illustrating comics that I think have messaging that would improve the world. Yes, but the audience. Yes, I would lose some audience. This is true. I'm missing a lot of them. This is true. This is correct. This is correct. But you know, better to give better to give a nutritious meal to 10 people than like crack cocaine to thousands, right? I'm putting it on a like a knife's edge right now. The point is so sharp. Dot. You'd said no. Scrolling isn't all bad. It's tough, man. It's tough. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. No, but and I'm not saying all short form is crack cocaine rather than a nutritious meal. What I might be saying is the more you're like approaching like short form conventions and like clickbait and attention grabby hooks and information that's only on the screen for 2 frames, so you have to have a really strong pause game to even find out what somebody's saying. The more you're mixing this stuff into your content, I don't know what you're adding. Maybe it's not crack cocaine. Maybe you're just adding sugar to the meal. And there's a point at which, oh, it makes sense to add a certain amount of sugar to get the child to eat the nice nutritious meal, the otherwise nice nutritious meal. There's also a point where it's just like you've added so much sugar to this meal. There's no meal left. It's just spoonfuls of sugar now. It's the most efficient way to fry a brain while the brain likes it. Yeah, I largely agree with that take. So I just need to balance how much short form pizzazz I put in my content. Because I don't want to just be feeding you guys sugar. I think short form content is largely harmful. Wydona, thanks for following. We're having the big conversations today. I started earlier, I can't stop now. I think short form content is largely harmful. Sure, you can make short form content that isn't harmful or that also is good. I believe that. But I think it's a bigger challenge than making like a book that's good for you. I think it's easier. I think it's way easier to make a book that's good for you than to make short form content that's good for you. You'll say something that you think I won't agree with. Yeah, hit me. It's okay, so it's your position is that it is the responsibility of the individual to control themselves rather than the people posting. And I spent some of this evening arguing that same point, just to see where I could take it. It's tough. It's such a case by case thing. I happen to be a vegetarian. And so if you ask me, that's just kind of like the ethically better choice, but it's not something I parade around. This is an example. Trust me, we'll get there. It's a long walk, but it makes sense. This is an example I bring up because I don't think my friends are assholes for not being vegetarian. Okay? I don't think it's their responsibility to stop all production of meat. I don't believe that that's the individual consumer's responsibility. I think that has to be handled as a systemic issue. That has to be policy change if we want less meat to be produced. Or a combination. It's not something that you came up with. It's the era we live in. Everything happens hella fast. Meat. Okay, I don't think I brought this up very elegantly. I'm also trying to draw at the same time. The point is, I think depending on the case, we can put responsibility on the consumer, or we can put responsibility on the systems that create the problem. But I think it has to be a case-by-case basis. Right? I think it has to be a case-by-case basis. I think it is morally bad to produce crack cocaine. But is it morally bad? Is it morally bad to bake bread? Is it morally bad to be like a baker? That's tough, man. No, right? Because if you have the right relationship to baked goods, they can be a net positive. You can also have an abusive relationship to bread and to cake and to baked goods where they're a net negative. That's definitely not the baker's fault. So we have to handle these things by case basis. How bad is the thing that we're producing? And can it be good for you? How likely is it to be good for you? And I don't know, my take is that short form content is way more likely to be bad for you than it is to be good for you. Short form content is way more likely to be bad for you than it is to be good for you. I generally tend to think that's true. That's true. And if I believe that, then it's a morally bad act for me to produce short form content. How can art itself, even if it's short form content, be bad? I think art can easily be bad. I think art has to work to be good. It has to put in the hours. It has to really up its game to be good. I think plenty of art is bad for you. Because, okay, so this is where it all started, right? How? How it all started is I'm an artist. I'm a visual artist. I'm a visual artist in the entertainment industry. I produce entertainment. And I had this problem that the very thing that I was making, I had an unhealthy relationship to myself. So I definitely think if art is too stimulating and too addictive without enough content in it, it is bad for you. So I think for art to be good for you, it has to work. It has to make sure that its messaging, its narrative is good for you. I don't think that comes easily. One of the big cruxes of the conversation that I just had that didn't get fully resolved with my friends, with my art friends, about the ethical implications of our jobs, is that my friend, he's doing a very narrative focused piece of media right now. He's creating a comic that has a message that he cares about. And for a little while in our conversation, I was taking the position that all art or all entertainment is baseline bad for you, and then it's the consumer's relationship to that entertainment that dictates if it ends up being bad or good. But then he described his project to me, and the narrative and why he's telling that story. And I realized that this particular narrative, I think, could be good for people to have this narrative told. Wydona, you can ask your question in just a second. I just want to try and finish this one thought. And we can end on a cliffhanger. How can it be baseline bad? Because it's very stimulating and addictive. That was my thinking. That was my paradigm. Because I've thought this way for a long time, because I felt addicted to video games, I felt addicted to entertainment. It felt like entertainment was just like a baseline bad thing. This guy, my friend, he comes in with a piece of art that, okay, you know, I can actually see the value in that. Now the big problem, the big dilemma that I walk away from the conversation with is that piece of art that he talked about, that he outlined to me, I can see that as potentially a net positive because it's narrative heavy and it has a good message. Now, the art that I like to produce, the art that I like to make, is narrative light and with a focus on not the narrative or the messaging, but simply the craft and the aesthetics. It is much more maximalist and with a focus on sensation and engagement and stimulus. That's the art that I like to make. I like to make art that's pretty and that has a focus on craft and impact and a wow moment. But that immediately to me is like, well, that's the qualities in art that I think are bad for you. Because it's just pure stimulation. It's definitely not the qualities in art that I think are like good for you in form of narrative and messaging. So this is what I'm left feeling out, thinking about, considering, pondering for the next couple of days probably. You have a solution. Okay. Well, hit me up real quick. What's your solution? If you can't make it less bad, then make good elsewhere. Carbon credits! Carbon credits! I'll just buy my way out of of producing bad things in the world. Teach art, let others have the same dilemma. If I'm not willing to, and I think it's just a matter of like, oh, I try to make my art less harmful and more meaningful, and then, you know, it's a done deal. But I like the cop-out answer of carbon credits. Just like buy some good other places in the world and then keep doing your slightly bad moral actions. All right. Milk that for a little bit. I'm super rambling because it's I'm not fully resolved already, and I'm trying to do this art at the same time. Wydona, you had a question. Hit me up. Off topic. Not gonna lie. You forgot. Damn. Okay. The metaphor that I finally settled on, that I think is the best for this, and it's not originally my metaphor, it's or at least Hank Green uses the same metaphor. he has a video where he asks, "Am I cigarettes? Is the content that I create cigarettes?" Because he's aware that, oh, you know, digital content, video content, short form content has negative effects on a lot of people. And where he ends is, no, he's not cigarettes. No, his content is not cigarettes. It is food. Food is a necessity. And I'm more and more reaching the conclusion that like narrative and entertainment to a certain degree just is a necessity. Art just is a necessity. But the wrong food or the right food in the wrong amounts can be highly unhealthy for you. Yeah, food has good effects. The right amount of food in the right amounts has good effects. And so the exercise simply becomes trying to make less addictive, more nutritional food. Make less addictive, more meaningful art. This is good stuff, but less audience. Yeah. I just try to strike that balance, right? But I think you have to tank that if you want to make good nutritional food, if you want to make art that improves people's lives, it will be less attention grabby, and so the audience will be smaller. But then I guess we're back to putting it on a knife's edge. We're back to cooking a nutritious meal for 10 people rather than giving 100,000 people McDonald's. Have both? Do both? Yeah. Serve McDonald's and good nutritious meals. Maybe. A McDonald's burger to get people hooked, and then once they're in, you bait and switch them with a good soup. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. As thinly as the metaphor is stretched at this point, I do think that that's about where I'm at right now. Though even my soup, I don't know how nutritious it is. I think even my soup is like a little light in protein. One thing you don't understand. Like I could practice making some better soup. Why do I want to sort the morality of it? Specifically when it's art, I want to get money, I want to get known, I want to have a career, I have to go through this money. Yeah. I guess the idea is that there's a way to make a living off of art that is, according to my own values, morally better. And there's a way to make a living off of art that is, according to my own values, morally worse. And then one of them might result in more money, but I'm just trying to make that consideration with myself, like how much a dollar cost, how many of my ethical boundaries, how many of those lines am I willing to toe to make a little bit more money, or how much money am I willing to sacrifice to be a little bit more morally consistent. Money or way less money but good conscience, or choose first option and make good elsewhere. Yeah. So that's another thing is this one fucked with me. I struggled with this idea, but I think it's kind of just correct if I like measured against my values. So the idea is, you want to make enough money to make a living. You want like and more than that, you want like a good financial structure to take you through life. And a friend of mine found this model for that, where you build wealth. First, you build enough wealth for like rainy days. You make a savings account and you save enough money till you have for like, I think it's a year or 6 months with no pay in case you go unemployed. Once you have that rainy day fund, you can start investing in, say, stocks or bonds or whatever. 1 year's the recommended. Thank you, Pat. 1 year's the recommended. Then you start investing. From there, and I'm getting it all. Oh no, I don't have it all. I don't have it all. The point is, like okay, from there it's something about like how you spend your money. Max 30% on rent. Always minimum 10% going of your money goes into the retirement fund. And you progressively save and invest until at some point, this is the end game of this financial strategy that my friend laid out for me. At some point, you buy a house. Right? Because over the course of a lifetime, if you can scrape the money together, it's cheaper to buy and own a house than it is to rent for the same amount of years. And then once you've bought a house, once you've sorted your salad, once you've got your shit together, the last step of this financial advice plan was to keep building wealth and give back. Donate, give to charity. Because now that you have wealth, it's easier to accrue wealth, and so it's easier to give. The entire point is that if you actually want to donate, right. This is what you're saying, Draco. I know. If you actually want to donate as much money as possible to charity, you have to wait. You can't do it immediately, because if you donate all your money to charity every time you have money, the total sum will be way less than if you make sure to invest, see your assets rise, and then just cut the cream of the crop continuously and then donate that to charity. And that was like a tough pill to swallow. Because the conclusion is I have to be selfish now to as effectively as possible be altruistic. Balance. Sure. Balance. To me, that was a tough pill to swallow because it sounds like, I'm not saying it is, but it sounds like a way to like convince yourself that, oh, you're doing everything you can when you're just acting as selfishly as possible. Like the trick with that the trick with that approach is that you have to flip the switch at some point. At some point you have to flip the switch and start being selfless. Nothing wrong with that. No, but it makes it seem a little bit dangerous. I'm not saying I'm expecting this to be the case, but what if, you know, future Jacob, he doesn't want to flip that switch? What if he's fine with giving to charity now, but in 20 years, he's like, nah, I'm rich now, I don't care. It feels, I'm not saying it is, but it feels like a way to potentially talking myself out of being a good person by saying, oh, well, the most rational way to be a good person is do it later. But you know, I have swallowed the pill. I get it. I get it. It just was a difficult pill to swallow. I'm like, fine, I'll accumulate the wealth first, and then I'll just really be on top of flipping that switch when I have enough to give back. Money makes the world go round. Get all of the morality out? I don't know. I think we need to keep the morality a little bit. Only give what you can afford to lose. Yeah. No, this is good. This is good. And you put your own oxygen mask on before you put on others. Best advice your grandmother taught you about money? Yeah, that's nice. A little bit more forehead. Kept us going through all the crises in the past. Yeah, yeah. Now, I still think there's a difference between that. I have to say, there's a difference between that and let's take it back to the art thing. You said do short form content now to accrue wealth, and then later on I can give back in another area. I think that's different. There's a difference between acting a little selfish but not doing actually morally bad things to acquire wealth and then donate later. And then the other thing is just like, the other thing you could do is like no holds barred, do anything to become wealthy so that you can then give to the poor. And that's a different moral dilemma entirely. So say, and I'm not there, but say I genuinely think that like, oh, short form content is some of the worst you could do to another human being. If that's where I was at, almost no matter the, or all I'm saying is that would have to allow me to do a lot of good for me to do that. It would have to open a lot of doors for positive change for me to actually want to do that. And that's where the dilemma is, well, maybe there's other ways to make that same amount of money that doesn't involve things I disagree with that much. Not that I think short form content is the devil, I just think there's a lot of dangers associated. Yeah, one thing is that I would fear that by doing this I would be less likely to actually give back later. The other thing is just like, well, the potential harm that I'd be causing to gain the resources might be too big that I don't want to be doing that. Anyway, it's not that black and white. You can do better or worse short form content. And I'll try to do better. You can do better or worse internet content. And I'll try to do better rather than worse. I can't put the monitor of the comments to my right. My neck constantly twisting is bad. Okay. Yeah, what could I do? You're saying just like ergonomically? This is an L? I don't know. I'll have to think about that one. Because I kind of want all the space on my right monitor for the drawing. I guess maybe I could like sit more central. And then I'd be looking back and forth like more of an equal amount. So right now I am facing the left third of my right monitor. That's straight in front of me. Before I was more central to my right monitor. Maybe this is the play. And then I gotta cut differently on my camera. No, I think this is a good idea. Because now I have to look to the right to see the far information on the far right of my right screen. I have to twist and look to the left to see the information on my left screen. So it's balance in all things. I think that's good. And then just cut the camera a little bit differently. Lamau, sure. What do you mean? This was your opinion. This was your take. You need more space on the... Your idea was for me to not use my neck. That's gonna be tricky. There's just eyes to look. I think it's good to move your neck. I think being so stationary is actually bad. Like you wanna keep moving, right? The best work posture is the next one. Never heard that. No, I mean it's a direct translation of what the Danish authority of like work health says. You'll make sure the next one is always an awkward position. Smart. Smart. I think you gamed the system. I think you win now. You didn't let your brain be controlled by propaganda. You thought for yourself. You avoided becoming sheeple. But you're definitely right in like craning to one side perpetually is bad. But if I can like just tilt a little bit to each side, I think that's good. Okay. That's 2 drawings in almost 2 hours. This is crazy because they're not 1 hour drawings. We've been yapping today. That's okay. That's fine. It happens. Yeah, but what? Why was I late? Why was I late? I was yapping. What am I gonna do? You mean about content creation? About everything. I'm assuming about what we've discussed. Well, the conclusion is I make food. I'll do my best to make healthy food, as healthy as it can be while still attracting customers. I'll do my best to not put too much sugar in it. And when I do put sugar in it, I guess I'll try to make sure that it's either balanced with some other nutrition, or that it doesn't happen too much. I'll make sure that my short form content has good information that I want to put out there. And that the same is the case for my stream. And then it just becomes a project of perpetually figuring out what's the best way to make healthy food that also gathers customers. And I'll save up money until I can buy a house, and then I'll start donating to charity. Only tangentially related. I don't know, man. I'm feeling very entertained right now and very addicted. Do more streams, you demand more. Yeah. That was a moment that literally happened the other day where I got a comment on a TikTok video that said, "Damn, man, you're so talented. Your videos are seriously addictive." It said, "I can't stop watching." It was something like that. Which is like, oh shit. Okay. Yeah, I was really like confronted with it then. There's also just I guess I do my best to make healthy food, to make art content that has value. And then he hits me with the talented word though. Yeah, that's another pet peeve of mine. But he just means you're doing good, you're skilled. No worries about that. No worries about that. There is this element to it where it's like, if I'm doing my very best to do healthy, meaningful, helpful content, there can still always be people who are like susceptible to an overuse, right? So even if you're doing like really, really healthy food, even if you're cooking really healthy food, I bet if it's tasty enough, some people out there would eat too much of it, right? But it's just that's like a last resort of cope. I can't be going around saying that all the time. They're adults. No, that's the thing. They're not adults, right? They're not. They're anybody. Anybody can stumble upon my content. Where are the parents? Parents' fault. Well, also parents' fault. But that's also a complex issue. There's all sorts of reasons why their parents might not be around. Society's fault. See, you can always blame it on someone. That's the point. That's Draco. That's bad. We shouldn't be shifting the blame around like this. We should be taking responsibility. For the things we can change and positively affect. Yo, what's up? Jay Seki, what's up? You're catching the tail end of a very long, slightly heated discussion about the ethics of producing art and content. But I think we're I think we're through it now. I think we're almost done. And then just trying to do some portrait studies along with it. Still don't think that it's baseline bad. No, me neither. That's the point. That's actually that's where I'm getting to. What's the issue? In short, the issue is that I produce art, I produce content, and art and content in great amounts can cause people problems in their lives. Say people get addicted to video games or to short form content. I produce art, I do it for entertainment. I recently started producing short form content. Am I part of the problem? How big a part of the problem am I? What can I do to... Here we go again! What can I do to make sure that I'm a smaller part of the problem? Sorry, what's the problem? Draco was just like exasperated that I'm still walking in circles. But does that make sense? Like, people get addicted to short form content. People get addicted to video games. I make art for video games. I make short form content. Am I feeding this addiction? How much responsibility is on my shoulders for that? That was the debate. That was the talk. You think as long as you're providing some sort of value that isn't just garbage bullshit, it's fine. Yeah, I think I think you just about summed it up. I just had to talk to myself a bit to get there. People are going to be seeking stuff based on their interests anyways. Yes. You make sure you provide as much value as you can. Make sure it's the least amount of bullshit possible. Then you're kind of fine. That's where I'm getting to too. I think that was Draco's opinion all along as well. I just had to talk it out a bit. Like, students want to learn, so if you're putting art learning content that isn't horse ass, you're putting the best of what you can out. Yes. Yes. And that makes it easy because then the focus is just to like make your content not horse ass. And that's very actionable. I can very easily specifically work on making my art learning not horse ass. No. Rego, if you're answering your own question, of course I agree. It's just nah, you're right. You're right. Isn't it all fairly relative to the person as well? You're saying the consumer and how good they are at like handling their relationship to the media? Yeah. Someone might be seeking information, someone might be doom scrolling art slot. Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. And then the only consideration is just like, I don't know, you can still make content that encourages doom scrolling or make content that encourages seeking information, right? But that's the same thing you said, is you just try to make sure that there's value in your content. There's no real problem. Whoops. Okay, give me a second. This the perspective. That's the perspective. Well, if that's something you want to avoid, just orient how you make stuff with that in mind. No, exactly. You've never thought about this being an issue in art? Well, Jay, you've got all the answers. You've got it all sorted out. That's also why, I mean, you were catching the tail end, because we had just about reached most of those same conclusions. I just had to talk it out for a bit, because I've felt in my life, I've previously felt quite addicted to video games, quite addicted to entertainment. So I started with quite a pessimistic view of it, and I had to figure out, well, what's my sort of strat, and it is just like being aware of it, trying to make less brain rotty content. Being addicted is not all bad because you can come out of it stronger. Whoa, that's a take. Oh, that's a take. Media consumption can be taken in two different ways based on outlook. I would say potentially more than two, but go on. You're not gonna beat yourself up for playing Silk Song, even though it's like, right, that's not gonna necessarily teach you a lot about life or like your values as a human being. It's mostly entertaining. Oh, it's inspiration, or it's leisure, or I'm a piece of shit because I should be doing blank. Yeah. It just tends to be like a more enjoyable life if you go with one of the first two. So much chatting today. Ups and downs, addicted at our lowest points. I'm okay. Not knifing yourself for wanting to enjoy yourself. Sounds good, sounds good. Especially as craftspeople, you need something to feed yourself. Yeah. Yeah. If you're addicted to seeing the sunset every day, it's not bad. Obviously. Yeah. You just step back and gauge shit. Yeah, I had a point where I was playing a lot of video games in a way that felt involuntary to me. I don't do that anymore, so I'm good. If I play video games now, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I've got it under control. It's just entertainment or inspiration or opening my eyes to other artistic forms of expression or new visuals or whatever. It's all good. What video games? Roguelikes. Binding of Isaac was big at some point. What else when I was like really... It's a lot of single player games, like skill-based games that made me feel cool when I beat them. Artists are always harping about efficiency and grinding, and it's not realistic min-maxing art all the time. Damn. Didn't expect the therapy session. Oh, look at my shouldering. My shoulders lowering. Did you hear the sigh of relief? Holy shit, I am there's not a lot of brain capacity on this study right now. The maso culture in art isn't worth it. Or like hustle culture. Maso culture? Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, for sure. No. Slow and steady wins the race type beat. Find a pace that's sustainable and then keep going with that. It's very tempting though. The whole grind set hustle culture. Beating yourself up. Because you're like, what if I could get so much better if only I... I did a lot of that over the past couple of years, but I've softened up. Take things in stride, know your limits. Acknowledge shit won't be perfect or efficient all the time. Yeah. You can still strive to work efficiently and then just forgive yourself on the bad days. I made a TikTok this very morning about about how my mantra with that is like, be strict with yourself, not hard on yourself. I like being disciplined. I like getting in the work. But I try to make sure that I'm not hard on myself. I try to make sure that when I do what I might consider failing, I accept that that's just how it is sometimes, even when you're doing the best you can. Oh, that was you commenting. I see, I see. I wrote a good long answer. Okay, next reference. Let's do another one. Yeah, but that's my version of that. Everything won't be perfect or efficient all the time. Is I can aspire to be efficient. Beating yourself up isn't the way to become your ideal. Nah. Aspire to be efficient, but yeah, accept when it doesn't happen. Even the artists that I've seen that actually become, because I have a couple friends that are quite hard on themselves, and that are quite skilled. So even the artists that I would look to and think, oh, you got really far by beating yourself up. To me, that just isn't worth it, right? That just isn't worth it. I would rather get a little less far if it would mean that I felt good about myself and my life and my day-to-day, my existence, my self-worth. Now we go to the question. The question? The question on everybody's minds. Sad and rich or happy and poor? Well, happy and poor is just like a tall order, man. That's tough. That's difficult to do, I think. But if you're saying actually, legitimately, truly happy, I don't feel like I need anything more that I don't have, well, then it's obvious, right? You'd want to be happy and poor because the reason that you try to be rich is to make sure that you've got your basics covered. The reason you try to become rich is to not worry about money. Yeah, it's kind of a dumb question. Oh, that's true. Yeah. It assumes that you'll statically be either or forever. Building up wealth is hard, getting happy not as hard. You don't think a lot of people Even people who can manage to build up significant amounts of wealth struggle with being happy. And this is good practice. This is good practice in being a Twitch streamer. There's a lot of text and takes whizzing past. Can definitely agree there's plenty of holes in that hypothetical. Yeah, Draco, can you hit us up with some specifics? Can you paint a specific picture? If you're family oriented and they're all dead, not gonna stay happy. And if you're poor, they will be more likely to die. They'll definitely die sooner. Man. It's not about money, really. It kind of is. I think about that graph a lot. Have you guys seen that graph where it's like, oh, it's like average happiness, self-reported happiness, and then it's like average, or then it's like household income, and average household income, and then up until like 70 grand a year, up until like $70,000 a year, it's like a 1-to-1. And then after $70,000 a year, it kind of like smooths off or whatever. It becomes like less of like a 1-to-1 curve upwards. Yeah. So sure, it's possible to be happy and poor, but money's got a significant say up until like the point where you're like comfortable and don't have to think too much about it. Yeah, your family didn't have money growing up, so for you it's pretty important. I'd say for most people, that first bit of money up until like, okay, now I don't have to worry about it anymore. That is quite important. Being able to sustain is huge. This is not rich. Well, it's sure as hell is not poor. It's like being pretty well off. It's like doing good for yourself. That's why I was like, being poor and happy is like, that feels like a tall order. Especially if we're talking like generally happy instead of like once. There's a big difference between surviving and living comfortably as well, yeah. Yeah. And I think that's just it. That's why that graph looks like that, right? Where it flattens out, that's where people are comfortable. They're living comfortably. Hypothetical's too vague. Yeah, I think we're all. That's what we all want, right? Living comfortably. Okay, where are you gonna take this? I don't think that's true. I think you can raise your children to make sure that they work. I think Draco's pivoting, which I think is fair. I think the hypothetical, we've realized the hypothetical was a bit too vague. You've got the takes today, Draco. Addiction, I mean, I guess I'm taking you a little bit out of context, but not even that much. First, addiction isn't all bad, then you have to keep the poor. Dude, there's a way to raise the next generation, even if you live comfortably, to a point where they know the value of working and doing a job. Even some of the more boring, uninteresting, the less sexy jobs. I don't think we need poverty to have a society. I think that's a crazy take. I should read up on universal pay, because I'm always the I'm always the guy to bring it up, but I don't know enough about it. I only know that I have like a yeah, it seems like a good idea about universal pay. Oh, you got there too, universal pay. Yeah, what I've heard is that it's worked where people have tried it. That's the last thing I've heard. Is that it seems like seems to be working where there have been experiments with it, but I have no sources. I haven't read up on it. All right, next one. Wait, the numbers are wrong. Give me a second. I'm supposed to be at 21. I should find out what day I started so that the numbers mean something. There we go. Next up. A slightly more rotated face. Do I keep the ref? I guess, yeah. But not like super consciously, just like as an artifact of I put them all in a put them all in a pure ref when I start. Yeah, copyright free? Yeah, I guess they wouldn't be. Probably are not. These are just random references off the internet. I haven't seen anybody get into trouble for like doing studies off of copyrighted photos. As long as they're just studies, should be fine. Even if it is a part of my content making machine, I think we're good. Oh yeah, there's a lot of AI in Pinterest. On. We learn to live with it. Also, if you make sure to just like not click the AI photos very much and just like click the ones that are definitely real, algorithm kind of learns a little bit after a while. Might take some training though. Sometimes it fools you. No, it's true. It's true. Yeah, it's rough out here. You also don't know who posted it. Yeah. Google reverse image search is great for that though. Google Lens. I feel like that's how I found kind of some of my favorite artists recently, is just like go on Pinterest and then, you know, you find out whatever is there and then you go, this is a banger of a drawing. And then you go Google Lens reverse image search. And then boom, new amazing artist you've never seen before. This stream must be like one of the least intentional, most just copying study streams we've done. It's just been so much to talk about. How do I have 64 gigabytes of RAM? Where does it say? Oh, right, in my description. Yeah. I don't know, I just felt like Clip Studio was taking its sweet ass time, and then I looked at my task manager and it's like, okay, my RAM is like 98, 96% used all the time. Well, I guess I have to upgrade. You just know everything about me. Yeah. For sure. It's like big liquefy operations were taking their sweet time. I'm gonna bounce. Good luck with the studies. Thanks for stopping by. Nice talking to you. Come back anytime. And you know what? Those same liquefy actions, those same liquefy operations, they're a lot faster now. So shit works. I had half. I had a 32 before. I'd made sure to buy a PC that had a good amount of RAM because I knew that the softwares that I'm using use a lot of RAM. I don't know, I think this is just like a 4K UHD? A UHD resolution, right? So 3640 by 2160 pixels. It's just when you start doing like a big ass brush with like huge liquefy operations like this, you can even see still with 64 gigabytes of RAM. And I don't know, well, actually I wonder if we can see it spike. No, nothing's spiking right now, actually. I wonder why that's so slow. Because everything's chilling right now. I don't know, man. I know what I know. This is way better than it was. You believe me. I thank you for the trust. When are we gonna be doing some Twitch things, more emojis, more entertainment and stuff, custom emojis and stuff? What's the end stuff? We could look at some custom emojis. Shouldn't be too hard to do. But yeah, what would the end stuff be in this case? Channel points. Oof, channel points. I could probably do channel points. And me actually becoming a member? A member? Of Twitch. I kind of thought I was. No one can sub means no one gets ads. Hey, isn't that nice? Aren't you happy about that? Sure. I mean, it's obviously going to change at some point. So it can become a business, man. Isn't that no channel points as well? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know how it works. You can probably do channel points. I mean, it's one of those things where I'm a little reluctant to do it because I'm like, well, this is one of the things that Twitch has instated into their platform so that the content can be more addictive. It's probably fine though. Channel points doesn't exactly why you're asking for them. Well, you're here already. You don't need the content to be more addictive. If we hadn't talked about it, you wouldn't be asking. Yeah. We'll figure it out. Figure it out. It's not, I gotta admit though, channel points not high on my priority list. Maybe it should be. But is not currently. How tired do I feel on average after each stream? 5. I'd say about 5 tired. I don't know, man. I go to bed after I stream. It's pretty good. It's rougher in the mornings because that's like the morning stream is before my workday. And so if the work isn't very inspiring on that particular day, it can be tricky to get going. Like that thumbs up. Frame it in the door frame like that. That can be a bit rough some days, like launching into the workday after the 2 hours of the stream. But I used to do that before I started streaming. It would just be like 2 hours of studying, right? I think I just gotta get a little bit more used to the fact that it's like a stream where I'm talking as well. I think it'll come. And when the work is inspiring, when my internship, the assignments are actually something I find interesting, it's way less of a problem. All right, that's another one. Is there a way to have a peek on the submissions for my Draw This in Your Style? Yes, everybody who submitted used the hashtag. So if you go to Instagram and you find that hashtag, I'm just assuming that's what you're talking about, submissions. You would be able to see those. And we do have enough that there will be 5 commissions done of 5 winners. Characters. Okay, drawing number 15. I think we can do 1 or 2 more. Fun to draw these in ink. Oh, not 15, sorry. 25. We're a little tired. I should try to be more intentional with these because I'm really just like copying. I'm not making observations for future drawings very much. Okay. Here's another upshot. What are we noticing? What's the hashtag? I always just find it by going to the post and then clicking on the I'll become a better hashtag designer over time because that's a little silly. Didn't find my my channel? Yeah, you should be able to just go to my Instagram and then find one of the posts. Should be right there. You're following so many people. Well, I think the software has a search function. I think there's like a button where you can type in the name of a... You can go from Twitch. Peak lazy. Okay. What I like about this reference is it's quite easy to simplify the rounding of the head into just like a slant to the front plane and then a side plane, right? So instead of going like, oh, I have to think of like a sphere rounding, like a cylinder rounding, and then cut off a side plane. Because, you know, it's hard to draw ellipses correctly in perspective. It's a lot easier. And this reference sort of just reveals to me that that can be done believably. So just think of like a plane break in the center of the face, and then a slant as you move to the side of the face. And then you can cut off the side plane as well. And then we'll see if it looks appealing in my drawing. What would be the criteria? You just gotta draw the guy. You can redesign him, you can draw him in a different style, you don't have to color, it could just be pencil. Just draw the guy. But it has to be that guy. Yeah, so for my own submission, right, I redesigned him. I did like a different take on the same character. Yeah, let's make that decision right now. On the 1st of October is fine. Anything that's on the 1st of October, all good. But then that's where it cuts. You'll be leaving now? Had a good time? 2 hours here? Yeah. You're a long time viewer, 2 hour time viewer. The longest you've ever been here. Oh, wow. I was able to capture your attention this time around. My high level discourse skills. Sure. All right, see you around. Have a good one. Okay. And that... There's something about this overlap that's really important. The upper lip shooting down into and being overlapped by the lower lip from these lower angles. That's an observation. That's something to bring into the next drawings. is to remember that little mark and letting the upper lip be overlapped by this mark representing the corner of the mouth. And make sure to entertain more. Okay, yeah. Okay, mom. This one's tricky because this is a reference where it's very clear to me that we're really looking up at a face, and the most prominent thing that is the most in the camera is like the chin. Yeah, we're fumbling, but I think it's the execution, not the ideas. Man, some of it as well is just like an admission that this is like a really tough angle to draw. And it's such a tough angle to draw for me that maybe it's fine that sometimes I need a couple goes and some reference to figure it out. Like even with the reference, this one isn't going so well. Let's see, what copes do we have in the bag? It's late. I'm tired. Damn, that might be all of the copes. Well, there's another honest attempt. Apropos being tired after stream, I think I will call it just a little bit early here. Just because, you know, we've just finished like a little task here. Kind of a natural place to stop, as well as it's good to get sleep. Sleep's good. So I'll try to do some of that. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, stopping by. See you guys in the next one.